Sanford Road Trail Run here. We're going to talk about some stability, support, pronation control shoes of the lighter variety of support, yet still support shoes. So we're going to talk about left to right, the Hoka One Arahi 4, the Asics GT-2000 and the Saucony Guide 13. So all three of them implement some support in slightly different fashions. First, the Guide does it via a plate you can see here at midfoot. Otherwise, the midsole is the same throughout, and it's Saucony's new Power Run, which is a TPU EVA blend for a nice, lively, responsive, well-cushioned ride. Next, the Asics GT-2000 takes a little bit different approach. We have a firmer foam here. It's not as firm as most pronation controls shoes. For example, I'm going to show you the Ravenna 9 from Brooks, where that black piece is very, very firm and the rest relatively soft. So what Asics does is a relatively firm foam, but what they do is they have their Trustic plate here running through, quite a massive plate to provide basically the stability underfoot. The rest of the shoe is flight foam, and to cushion that somewhat firmer feel, they have plenty of gel, and it seems to work very effectively for me. There's gel at the heel, and there's a hidden one at the forefoot. Next, we have the Hoka Arahi 4. Well, the Arahi 4 takes a very different approach than the others. Essentially, they use a slightly firmer EVA foam on the medial side, and you can see over here it gets shorter on the lateral side in what they call their J-frame. So in terms of its stability, it felt the most seamless to me, really. It really wasn't much different than a neutral shoe in feel, but they're very inherently stable because of the width of the platform and that little bit firmer support from the yellowish orange EVA. Moving back to the Asics, the Asics had a firm feel in the heel, but well cushioned by that gel. I felt the support here was a little lengthy, if you will, and this area is very rigid. So the ride didn't feel like a support shoe, but it was quite rigid, and they really only start to shine as you pick up the pace. They weren't as much fun as the Arahi was at slower paces, but they did have some snap. They are somewhat heavier feeling. We'll get to the weights in a second. Now our Saucony Guide 13, you can see that all those deep decoupling grooves and the plate which comes around. The Saucony had a very lively ride. It was the one of the three shoes where the support element, actually, even though the midsole is all the same foam, was the most noticed from the plate, but it wasn't overwhelmingly so. I usually run in neutral shoes and occasionally in support type shoes, and really only of the light kind of support variety. So this was quite a snappy, agile ride. The Asics was a little bit tougher to run, even though at 10.3 ounces or 292 grams, it's actually a couple tenths of an ounce lighter than the Guide, which is 10.5 ounces, 298 grams. Seemed to run the heaviest of the three. Now the Arahi ran very much like a more stable Clifton. It's soft. It's not particularly agile, but it's a really good all around, and seemed to handle slower paces better than the other two. Now, moving on to the uppers here, and we'll start with the Arahi. The Arahi upper is clearly the highest volume. This is a good choice for wider, higher volume feet. It was really almost at the limit for me. I was a bit kind of loose in this more unstructured upper, with its very high toe box. So it's a very comfortable upper, but it's not exactly as secure as the others. Certainly adequate. Now, the Asics I thought had the best all-around upper, and Asics is doing a fantastic job with uppers this year with the Glide Ride and now here and some of their other models. So it's a dual layer engineered mesh. It fits very smoothly, very secure, and just a wonderful upper. My only comment, the toe box is a little pointy right up front, a little short. Might run a quarter to a half size short for me. So keep that in mind. The fit is not super broad, but this mesh is quite accommodating. Really fine upper. Oh, the Guide 13 is a nice, kind of more dense but soft engineered mesh. Very comfortable. It sits and fit a bit between the super voluminous Arahi and the more snug GT-2000. So it's a great all-around upper and very comfortable. Now, what's going on kind of more generally here in support stability? Well, support stability's gotten a little less, if you will, popular, as many really don't need it. But a little light support I kind of like, especially when I'm tired and I don't want to get sloppy. Among the other trends we're seeing out there are what are called rails or guide rails. Here's the Brooks Ravenna 10, and that's the lateral side. On the medial side, we have a longer rail there right between the midsole and the upper. The idea here is not to control the pronation of the foot, but more to guide the knee. I personally found this Ravenna 10 not very great to run because that bar is really, that guide rail is really quite long. It kind of got in the way of transitions. We know that the next Ravenna is going to soften that, and I hope that'll be easier to run. Now, in contrast, my preferred old shoe in the category, and I don't run in too many of these, and even I'd say prefer it to some of the ones up here, is the older Ravenna 9, which had the conventional, very firm block, the black block, but is very flexible. This is a great shoe for neutral runners, sadly no longer made. Now, in conclusion, so if you're looking for a touch of stability, there are three options here. From the very roomy and soft and least kind of support feeling Arahi 4 to the plate-sided Guide 13, where you will feel the support, but you have a very lively, responsive midsole. It was my favorite midsole of the three. To the more conventional, kind of rigid GT-2000, certainly well cushioned, quite flexible in the forefoot, but I really think the Trustic plate here is kind of overdone. Except for faster paces, I struggled a bit in this shoe. So just some basic statistics to end up here. So the Hoka One Arahi 4 is $130, 9.6 ounces, 273 grams. It's the lightest one here. It has a stack of 29 millimeters at the heel, 24 at the forefoot. The GT-2000 8 is $120, so it's 10.3 ounces, 292 grams, 29 millimeter heel, 19 millimeter forefoot, so that's a 10 millimeter drop. That's the highest drop shoe in the group, yet that forefoot is still plenty cushioned from the gel. Finally, the Saucony Guide 13, 10.5 ounces, $120. The 10.5 ounces is 298 grams. This one actually, and there's some differences here in how companies express them, has the most stack at 32 millimeters heel, 24.5 millimeters forefoot, 8 millimeter drop. So the Guide 13 is available now, as is the GT 2008. The Arahi 4 is coming in January 2020. Thank you very much for watching Road Trail Run, and please subscribe to our channel and also check out our website at roadtrailrun.com.